Chapter 30 Rasa-Tattva Anubhavas of Vatsaiya and Madhura-Rasas. One day, Vijay and Brajanath, after honouring Bhagavat Prasad, went to take darshan of Sri Haridas Thakur's Samadhi and Sri Gopinath at Sri Gopinath Tota. They then proceeded to the Sri Radhakant Mat. After offering their pranam to Sri Guru Goswami's lotus feet, they sat down and began to discuss a variety of subjects with Sri Dina Chandra Goswami. In the meantime, Sri Guru Goswami, after honouring Mahaprasad, gracefully came out and sat on his asan. Brajanath then humbly inquired about Vatsaiya Bhakti Ras, and Sri Guru Goswami replied, "In Vatsaiya Ras, Sri Krishna is Vishaya Alamban, and his elders, Guru Jana, are Ashraya Alamban. Krishna is beautiful with his dark complexioned limbs. He is endowed with all auspicious symptoms. His behaviour is mild, his speech is sweet, and he is simple and bashful. He is modest, he is respectful towards his elders, and he is charitable. Among his elders, Rajeshwari Yashoda and Rajeshwari Nanda Maharaj are the most prominent. Others are Rohini and the other elderly gopis, who are Krishna's worshipable superiors. Also Devaki, Kunti, Vasudev, Sandipani, and so on. In this rasa, the Udipans are Krishna's ages, such as Kumara, his beauty, his dress, his childhood, his restlessness, his sweet words and laughter, and his pastimes. Brajanath, please tell me about the Anubhavas of this rasa. Goswami, the Anubhavas are smelling Krishna's head, cleansing his limbs with the hands, offering blessings, giving him orders, nurturing him and caring for him, and giving beneficial instructions. The general, Sadharana, Anubhavas of this ras are kissing Krishna, embracing him, calling him loudly by name, and restraining and scolding him at the appropriate times. Brajanath, which sattvika transformations arise in this ras? Goswami, there are 8 symptoms, such as shedding tears, trembling, perspiring, and becoming stunned. There is also the unique symptom of milk flowing from the breast. So altogether there are 9 sattvika vikars in this rasa. Brajanath, kindly also tell me about the Vyabhichari bhavs. Goswami, in Vatsaiya ras, the Vyabhichari bhavs are the same as those I explained previously in connection with Prita ras, Dasya ras. In addition to all the others, there is apasmara, fainting. Brajanath, what is the sthai bhav of this rasa? Goswami, the sthai bhav is the rati of the benevolent superior for the object of his kindness, which is utterly devoid of reverence. The Vatsaiya rati of elders like Yashoda is naturally mature. The sthai bhav of this ras progresses through prem and sneha to rag. Baladev Prabhu's bhav is a mixture of Prita, Dasya, and Vatsaiya. Yudhishthira's bhav is combined with Vatsaiya, Prita, Dasya, and Sakya. Ugrasen's Prita Dasya ras is a combination of Vatsaiya and Sakya ras, while Nakul, Sahadev, and Narad have a mixture of Sakya and Dasya ras, as is the bhav of Rudra, Garuda, and Uddhava. Brajanath, Prabhu, I have understood Vatsaiya ras. Now kindly explain the ultimate mellow, Madhurya ras, for we shall become blessed simply by hearing about it. Goswami, Madhurya Bhakti Ras has been called Mukhya Bhakti Ras. The conditioned jiva has taken shelter of mundane ras, but when his intelligence becomes dedicated to Ishvara, he naturally attains the path of detachment. Even then, he cannot be inclined for Madhurya Ras until he becomes eligible for Chidrasa. Such people have no qualification for this Ras. The very nature of Madhurya Ras makes it difficult to understand, and candidates for Madhurya Ras are rarely found. This is the reason why this Ras is extremely secret. Madhurya Ras is naturally an extensive subject, but I will only give a brief summary now. Brajanath: Prabhu, I am a follower of Subal. I know that you will consider my eligibility to hear about Madhurya Ras and instruct me appropriately. Goswami: The Priya Nam Sakas are eligible for Sringara Ras to some extent. I will keep your qualification in mind and speak whatever is appropriate for you, and I will say nothing unsuitable. Brajanath: Who are the Alamban of this Ras? Goswami: Sri Krishna is the Vishaya Alamban of this Ras. As a gallant lover, he is the supreme abode of expertise in relishing pastimes of unequalled and unsurpassed beauty. The Ashraya Alamban of this Ras are the gopis of Braj, and Srimati Radhaji is the best of all Krishna's beloved consorts. The sound of Krishna's Murli is the Udipan of this Ras, and the Anubhavas are casting sidelong glances and smiling. All the Sattvika Bhavas manifest completely in Madhurya Ras, and so do all the Vyabhachari Bhavas, with the exception of laziness and fierceness. Brajanath: What is the nature of the Sthai Bhav of this Ras? Goswami: Madhurya Rati becomes Madhurya Bhakti Ras when it has been nourished by the appropriate Vaibhavs and so on of one's Atma. Such Rati for Radha Madhav is not subject to any type of obstruction, vicheda, through the influence of compatible Svajatya or incompatible Vijatya Bhavs. Brajanath: How many types of Madhurya Ras are there? Goswami: There are two divisions of Madhurya Ras, Vipralamba, separation, and Sambhog, meeting. Brajanath: What is Vipralamba? Goswami: There are many types of Vipralamba, such as Purvarag, Man, and Pravas. Prajnana: What is Purvarag? Goswami: Purvarag is the bhav that exists before meeting one's beloved. Prajnana: What are Man and Pravas? Goswami: I don't need to explain Man because everyone understands it. Pravas means being away from each other or separation, viraha. Brajanath: What is Sambhog? Goswami: Sambhog is the bhog, ananda, that occurs when lovers meet. I will say no more about Madhurya Ras. Those sadhaks qualified for Madhurya Ras should learn its confidential mysteries by studying Sri Ujjvala Nilamani. Brajanath: Kindly tell me something about the position of Gauna Bhakti Rasas. Goswami: There are 7 Gauna Rasas: Hasya, comedy; Adbhuta, wonder; Vira, chivalry; Karuna, compassion; Rodra, anger; Bhayanka, fear; and Bibats, disgust. When they become powerful and take the place of the Mukhya Ras, they appear as separate, individual rasas. When they act as independent rasas in this way, they become the Sthai Bhav, and when they are nourished by appropriate Vaibhavs and so on, they become rasa. Actually, only the 5 Mukhya Rasas, Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsaiya, and Madhurya, are rasa. The 7 Gauna Rasas, beginning with Hasya, are generally included within the category of Vyabhachari Bhavs. Brajanath. I am fully acquainted with Hasya and so on from my studies of Rasa Vichar in Alanka Shastra. So please tell me about their relationship with the Mukhya Rasas. Goswami. Now I will explain how the various rasas, such as Shanta, are mutually compatible or incompatible. Dasya, Vibhats, Dharma-vira, chivalry in performing religious rites, and Adbhuta are all compatible with Shanta. Adbhuta is also compatible with Dasya, Sakya, Vatsaiya, and Madhurya. Shanta is incompatible with Madhurya, Yudhavira, Rodra, and Bhayanka. Dasya is compatible with Vibhats, Shanta, Dharma-vira, and Dan-vira, and incompatible with Madhurya, Yudhavira, and Rodra. Sakya is compatible with Madhurya, Hasya, and Yudhavira, and incompatible with Vatsaiya, Vibhats, Rodra, and Bhayanka. Vatsaiya is compatible with Hasya, Karuna, and Bhayanka, and incompatible with Madhurya, Yudhavira, Dasya, and Rodra. Madhurya is compatible with Hasya and Sakya, and incompatible with Vatsaiya, Vibhats, Shanta, Rodra, and Bhayanka. Hasya is compatible with Vibhats, Madhurya, and Vatsaiya, and incompatible with Karuna and Bhayanka. Adbhuta is compatible with Vira, Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsaiya, and Madhurya, and incompatible with Hasya, Sakya, Dasya, Rodra, and Vibhats. Vira-ras is compatible with Adbhuta-ras, and incompatible with Bhayanka. According to some opinions, Vira is also incompatible with Shanta. Karuna is compatible with Rodra and Vatsaiya, and incompatible with Vira, Hasya, the Sambhog aspect of Sringara, and Adbhuta. Rodra is compatible with Karuna and Vira, and incompatible with Hasya, Sringara, and Bhayanka. Bhayanka is compatible with Vibhats and Karuna, and incompatible with Vira, Sringara, Hasya, and Rodra. Vibhats is compatible with Shanta, Hasya, and Dasya, and incompatible with Sringara and Sakya. The remaining combinations are all mutually neutral, tatashta. Brajanath, please describe the result of the combinations. Goswami, the tasting of rasa is increased by the combination of compatible rasas. The combination of anga, supplementary, with angi, principal rasas, is good. Whether the compatible rasa is mukhya or gona, it is appropriate to make it the complement, mitra, of angi-ras. Brajanath, please tell me about the difference between anga and angi. Goswami, when any rasa, either mukhya or gonya, dominates the other rasas and becomes prominent, it is called angi, and the rasa that nourishes the angi ras plays the role of a sanchari bhav as an anga, as stated in Vishnu Damotra. Rasanam samavetanam yasya rupam bhavadbahu samantyavyo rasastayi shesha sancharino mata. When rasas combine, one should understand that the rasa whose nature is particularly prominent is the sthāyi ras, and the other rasas are sanchari bhavs. Brajanath, how can gona ras be angi? Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami has said, Prodhyan vivanatokshanat pustim mukhyena lambita kunchata nijanatena gonopi angitvam ashnut. Mukhyastvam gatvam asadya pusnan indram upendravat gonam evanginam kritva niguda nija vaibhava anadi vasano basa vasite bhakta chetasi bhatyeva natulina syad eva sanchari gunavat angi mukhya swamatrange bhavastha avivadayan svajatiya vijatiye svatantra sanvirajate yasya mukhyasya yo bhakto bhave nitya nidashraya angisa eva tatrasyan mukhyopi anyogritam rajet. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Northern Division, 8th Wave, 46 to 50. Translation. Sometimes even a Gona Ras achieves the position of Angi when it is inspired by an abundance of Vaibhav, and has also been nourished by the Mukhya Ras that usually predominates it, but has now developed a contracted condition, Gonabhav. At that time, the former Mukhya Ras becomes Anga, hides its own splendor, and nourishes the Gona Ras that has become Angi, just as Upendra Bhagavan, Vamanadev, maintained Devaraj Indra. Unlike the Gona Sancharibhavs, this Mukhya Ras does not merge into the land of the Bhakta's heart, which is endowed with sublime fragrance in the form of the beginningless tendency for transcendental service. In other words, the Mukhya Ras does not disappear as the Gona Rasas do when they become Vyabhachari and disappear into the Mukhya Rasas. Rather, the Mukhya Ras remains independently manifest, nourishing itself by the aggregate of the compatible bhavs, which take the position of Angas. End of translation. Those who relish a particular rasa are eternally sheltered in that one specific ras, which for them remains radiant as Angi Ras. Other rasas, even though they may be Mukhya, function in the capacity of Angas of this prevailing Angi Ras. You should also note that Anga Ras is only accepted when it combines with Angi Ras to increase the relish of Ras. Otherwise, its combination with another Anga Ras will be fruitless. Prajnana. What happens when incompatible rasas are combined? Goswami. If you mix a sweet juice with sour, salty, or pungent substances, the taste becomes distasteful. Similarly, when one rasa is combined with another that is incompatible, the result is without ras, or tasteless, virasata. This defective combination of opposite rasas can be called rasabas. Prajnana. Is the combination of incompatible rasas invariably bad? Goswami. In Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Sri Rupa Goswami has said, Dvayo ekatarasya badhyat veno pavarnane smaryamantayapi yukto samyena vachane picha rasantarena vyavado tatashtena priyena va vishayashraya bede cha gonena dvisata saha ityadisho navaryesham vairino janayadyuti. Northern Division, 8th Wave, 63 to 64. The combination of two incompatible rasas does not result in virasata under the following circumstances. When one establishes the excellence of one rasa by making logical statements, and by describing the obstructions or inferiority of another rasa that is incompatible with the first. when one describes the remembrance of an incompatible rasa, when one establishes a similarity, when there is the intervention of a neutral or compatible rasa, or when there is a difference between the Vishaya or Ashraya of a Gona ras and Mukhya ras that are incompatible with each other. End of translation. Furthermore, consider this point. In bhaktas such as Yudhisthira, Dasya and Vatsaiya are manifest separately at different times. Mutually compatible rasas do not arise together at the same time. However, in the stage of Adhiruddha Mahabhav, if all the incompatible bhavs arise together simultaneously, they will not generate rasabhas. Srila Rupa Goswami has said, Srila Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 80:57, Kvapya chintya mahashakto mahapurusha shekare rasavali samavesha swadayavo pajayate. When many contradictory rasas combine at once in a personality who is the crest jewel of the Mahapurushas and who is imbued with inconceivable Mahashakti, this only enhances the wondrous nature of the taste. End of translation. Brajanath. I have heard from learned and Rasik Vaishnavas that Srimad Mahaprabhu had a low opinion of rasabhas, and that he would never hear bhajans, kirtans, or poetry that contained it. Now kindly tell me, how many types of rasabhas are there? Goswami. Rasa, when it is devoid of an angi, is called rasabhas. There are 3 gradations of rasabhas: major, uttam, intermediate, madhyam, and minor, kanishta. They are called uparas, anuras, and aparas respectively. Brajanath. What is uparas? Goswami. If any of the 12 rasas, beginning with shanta, has an ingredient such as the staibhav, vaibhav, or anubhav that has become disfigured, virupita, they can be called uparas. Uparas is caused by the disfigurement of the staibhav, vaibhav, or anubhav. Brajanath. What is anuras? Goswami. The secondary rasas, beginning with hasya, if not related to Krishna, are called anuras. If viraras and so on are manifest in neutrally disposed personalities, this is also anuras. Brajanath. But if they arise in the heart of someone who has no relation to Krishna, they are not ras at all. In that case, they will be mere mundane ras. Why then have such symptoms of anuras been described? Goswami. Rasa is anuras only when it has no direct relationship with Krishna. For example, the gopis laughed when they saw the nose of Srimati Radha's pet female monkey Kakati. Another example is Devarshi Narad seeing some parrots sitting on the branch of a tree at Bandirvan discussing Vedanta. When he saw this, great astonishment, Adbhuta Ras, arose in his heart. The gopis' laughter and the Adbhuta Ras arising in Narad's heart have no direct relationship with Krishna, but there is still some distant relationship with him. Consequently, both are examples of anuras. Brajanath. What is aparas? Goswami. When Krishna's opponents are the ashraya of any of the Gona rasas, beginning with hasya ras, and the Vishaya is Krishna himself, the result is aparas. For instance, Jarasanda's repeated laughter when he saw Krishna running away on the battlefield is an example of aparas. Srila Rupa Goswami has written in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 9:21, Bhava sarve tarabhasya rasabhascha kechane ami prokta rasa bhigna sarvepi rasanadrasa. Translation. Some persons refer to bhav in terms of tad abhas, a dim reflection of the Supreme Absolute Truth, and others rasabhas. However, learned scholars who have realized ras only use the word bhav to denote ras that is derived from relishing transcendental anand. End of translation. When Vijay Kumar and Brajanath heard this rasic, charming, and poignant appraisal of Rasa-Tattva, they fell at Sri Guru Goswami's lotus feet, weeping profusely, and spoke in voices choked with emotion. Agya timirandasya jnananjala shalakaya chakshu unmilitam jena tasmai Shri Guruve namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Gurudev, who has applied the ointment of Divya Gyan and has thus dispelled the dense darkness of the desires for dharma, artha, karma, and moksha, which arise from the 5 types of ignorance. In this way, he has opened my transcendental eyes, which have become inclined to the service of Sri Hari. Footnote. The 5 kinds of ignorance are 1. Ignorance of one's swarup, 2. Misidentifying with the inert material body as the Atma, 3. Possessiveness towards mundane sense objects, or the self-conception of being an enjoyer, 4. Absorption in duality, or attachment to substances other than Krishna, 5. Fear and distorted perception, virupa garana. End of translation. Lovingly lifting them up, Sri Guru Goswami embraced them. He blessed them, saying, "May this Rasa-Tattva manifest within your hearts." Every day, Vijay and Brajanath would discuss spiritual topics with Sri Dayana Chandra Goswami and accept Charanamrita and Sri Guru Goswami's prasad remnants. At various times, they observed that many Shuddha Vaishnavas were engaged in bhajan, sometimes in their bhajan kutia, sometimes at the samadhi of Sri Haridas Thakur, sometimes at the temple of Sri Gopinath, and sometimes at Siddha Bakul. Thus, through the example of the Vaishnavas, they also became immersed in bhavs, favorable for their bhajan. They also had darshan of the places mentioned in Stavavali and Stavamala, where Srimad Mahaprabhu experienced complete absorption in bhav. Wherever Shuddha Vaishnavas performed Nam Kirtan, they would join them. In this way, they both increasingly matured in their bhajan. Vijay pondered deeply. Sri Guru Goswami has given us shiksha about Madhura-Rasas, but it was just a very brief summary. Let Brajanath remain submerged in Sakya-Ras. At an appropriate time, I will come alone to Sri Guru Goswami and hear his elaborate appreciation of Madhura-Rasas. Thinking in this way, through Dayana Chandra Goswami's mercy, he acquired a copy of Sri Ujjvala Nilamani and began to study it. Any doubts that arose in his mind, Sri Guru Goswami would mercifully reconcile. Once, at dusk, while Vijay and Brajanath were strolling, they arrived at the shore of the ocean. Sitting on the beach, they gazed at the waves. There was no end to the incessant waves. Observing this, they considered, this life is also full of an incessant and unending flow of waves. Thus no one can know what will happen next, or when it will happen. Therefore we should immediately learn the method of Rag Marg Bhajan. Brajanath said, I have seen the Bhajana Padihati composed by Sri Dayana Chandra Goswami. It seems to me that if one studies it under the guidance of Gurudev, one could attain a beautiful result. I will make a copy. Having made this resolution, he requested Sri Dayana Chandra Goswami's permission to copy his sacred manual. But Sri Dayana Chandra refused to give it, unless Guru Goswami gave his permission to do so. Accordingly, they approached Sri Guru Goswami, begging him to allow Dina Chandra Goswami to give the Padhati. Sri Guru Goswami gave his consent, and when Vijay and Brajanath obtained it, they made separate copies. They considered they should wait for an opportune moment to approach Sri Guru Goswami in order to understand this Padihati thoroughly. Sri Dina Chandra Goswami was a learned scholar with a broad and comprehensive vision of all Shastra, especially in regard to the procedures for Hari Bhajan, Hari Bhajan Tantra. No other scholar could match the depth of his experience, and he was the most prominent among all Sri Gopal Guru's disciples. Understanding that Vijay and Brajanath were qualified for bhajan, he instructed them both thoroughly. Occasionally they approached Sri Guru Goswami's lotus feet to clear all types of doubts about their practice of bhajan. Gradually, through their studies, they came to comprehend the daily pastimes of Srimad Mahaprabhu and Sri Krishna. Thus becoming engaged in Astakaliya bhajan, they rendered service within their hearts throughout the 8 time divisions of the day. Thus ends the 30th chapter of Jaiva-Dharma, entitled Rasa-Tattva, Anubhavas of Vatsaiya and Madhura-Rasas.